Hello. I've been doing a series of printing videos or just some how-to videos in Optimum Printing, and tonight what I want to do is take the time to break down how to line up screens in screen printing and actual printing process with a multiple color design. All right. So far, by the way, 3 of the screens here on this press I won't be using. But so far what I did, I already lined up my white, which is my underbase, and my yellow gold. These two are lined up already. And what we do, the way to line up screens is when we are printing transparencies, the screens, to make the screens, we always want to make sure that we're printing registration marks, which are fairly hard to see here. But the registration marks look something like this in here. All right. What we do with the registration marks is we keep it on every single color in the break. Once we're doing the breakdown process in order to make the screens. All right. And I'm gonna show you real quick. Here, for example, here, you can clearly see this one here has the registration marks, and when we do the breakdown, this will be the underbase, which is white because it's going to be printed on dark color shirts. This one here will be yellow gold. The registration marks are going to line up. So no matter what screen we burn them on, the registration marks are going to line up. Like so. The reason why we do an underbase screen is because most colors show up almost faded on dark colored shirts. So we do what's called an underbase, where we press white and then we print the color on top of the white to give it more foundation, to make the colors a little bit more vibrant. All right, now that I have my yellow gold and my underbase already lined up, the next color I want to use is a Columbia blue. All right, so what I'm gonna do is put my screen press down here, and my registration marks are burned into the screen, and all I want to do is just line them up with the practice shirt. This is the practice shirt that I have set up. Make sure your clamps are undone to where you can move the screen. Okay, so now that I have my screen lined up, what I want to go ahead and do is I'm going to actually grab my squeegee and I'm going to press. First thing I do is I flood my screen. Flood my screen real good. And I give nice firm press, holding my squeegee at roughly about 45 degrees. And a good indication of how I know that everything went smooth is I can actually take my finger and I can rub my finger across the screen, and there'll be no ink on my finger. All right. So if I actually do it, if I flood my screen and then I press, but I don't press as good, and I rub my finger across the screen, If I rub my finger across the screen and there's ink on my finger, then we have a problem. We're not pressing. We're not putting enough pressure. All right. But nevertheless, we've done our practice. And in multicolor designs, we do what's called a flash, which is my flash drive is behind. So each color that goes around is going through the flash. It actually dries, and for my white, we actually do what's called a 2-pass to make that white real thick, to where it looks real good. We like quality. All right, I'm gonna show you guys in a second how that came out. Notice here, this is the flash, which is drying the shirt. So the inks that we are using are Plastisol inks, which is the typical ink for screen printing, and it's heat that dries these inks. All right, so you could actually see as well. So this is the design. It's not bad, but if we're being really meticulous, which I am, if I'm paying attention to my registration marks, I can clearly see, look, it's off. See, that blue is not covering that white. It should. I shouldn't be able to see any other color underneath this blue. Okay. No matter how my design looks, I'd want to make sure that that everything is lined up perfectly, because I don't want any troubles as my printing process is going. Okay, so once I have everything lined up, what I do is I take masking tape and I want to cover up my registration marks. Masking tape. Another reason why we do practice prints before we actually go into the actual printing of the shirts is because we want to look for what's called pinholes, which are little small holes in your design or in your screen that you do not want to show up on your shirt. So far in my practice, I did my practice on a dark colored shirt, which for the darker color, the darker blue, it'll kind of be hard for my blues to show up, but my white, I wouldn't be able to see white pinholes, and I wouldn't be able to see my yellow golds. And so far everything looks well. Every now and then you want to check your screen, make sure everything is going well, because sometimes, depending on how well you emulsion your screens in the darkroom, pinholes could arise. All right, so we'll get to taping those unwanted registration marks, because we do not want registration marks on shirts. This process of screen printing manually can be tedious. It does require lots of time, attention to detail. Now what I'm doing is I need to pay attention to every look for all my little pinholes. Even if they didn't pop up, I want to go ahead and tape up some of the areas that I think could start a pinhole. We do a really good combination here of speed and quality. course, quality being first. Currently, we're printing on manuals. Manuals, four color station. I'm sorry, 6 color station. 6 color 4. 6 heads. So we can print 4 shirts. Luckily enough, this is not a big job. I think this job here is roughly 40, 50 shirts. So it shouldn't take too long. But you'll get the opportunity to see exactly how the printing process should go, and how it should be done. It should be done this way for us to be more efficient. Of course, there are many ways to getting things done, but we want to be as efficient as possible so we can get orders in and out as quickly as possible. Whatever area you are printing in, and here the lighting's really well. But you want to make sure that you're printing in a good lit area. Okay, so all my registration marks are taped up. My pin holes look taped up pretty good. So now it's time for us to start the actual process of printing on the actual shirts. All right, mind you, these pallets, we're gonna print a couple of them, but these pallets here, normally we want to make sure that these pallets are clean. Obviously there was a job done before this one, but whenever you're done with a job, we want to make sure everything is clean as possible. That actually helps with keeping everything organized, and with this part, it helps with quality. Sometimes if you leave stuff like this on the pallet, that'll actually pick up on some of the other shirts. All right, it's good here. But we're gonna go ahead and dive in. All right. This right here is Tex Flash adhesive. What we spray adhesive on the shirt to make the shirt actually stay in place on the pallet. If you start to run out of adhesive, you might want to stop and get more, because if you start to print, especially a multiple color design, you start to print and you press that thing, and because that heat may want to make the shirt stick to the screen. That'll throw everything off. All right, so you want to spray adhesive on that pallet to make sure that shirt stays stuck to the pallet, not your screen. All right, get started. What I normally do is I preheat all my pallets. That kind of helps with the starting process. My flash normally stays in the same place, but my previous job I had larger hoodies, so I had to kind of move it around. But you want to make sure that flash is covering up your entire palette, or making sure that flash is going to cover where your design lies. You don't want to start getting into routine and everything's rolling, looking good, feeling good, and then you start to notice that your design isn't actually drying on the shirt. That can kind of make you be frustrated. Okay, so we're gonna dive in. Another really tricky part to the actual process is making sure that the placement of your design. All right. So the printing that we're gonna do is what we call full front. All right, but it's gonna be come across the chest. Our standard is we go 4 fingers from the collar. 4 fingers from the collar. 4 fingers from the collar. That's where that design would start. That's typically what we do. I'm gonna kind of breeze through these because I'm trying to eyeball a little bit so we can kind of move. What I do is I pull my shirt, put my shirt on the pallet. And I pull it all the way to the back, as far back as possible. And then what I do is I grab the edges of my t-shirt, the 2 corners right here, and I pull at the same time. And I've already measured my pallet from where my screen actually is going to lock in. So I know where my pallet lies. But I want to make sure that shirt is even on this pallet. All right? Because we don't want our design to be crooked in either way. Again, this is all manual. And the first screen we want to always put down on dark color shirts is that underbase. All right, I'm just putting it down here so I can eyeball. Looks like I'm off just a little bit. And again, you could always adjust your shirt. It would probably be a little quicker if you had a larger job. It would probably be quicker to adjust all your pallets to the same distance. Right now, I think I'm roughly at 6.5 inches away from where I rest. Pull my pallet down, flood my screen. Unfortunately, normally, again, there's multiple ways of actually pressing. I actually used to do a pull method, but today I'm gonna do a push, and I'm gonna actually only use one hand, kind of having some wrist troubles. So for me, what I do is I use my left hand as a guide hand or a clamp hand, if you will, and that right hand still holding at 45 degrees and push. Do a couple passes. Make sure that no ink is left on that screen. No ink is left in your design. Okay? Pop. All right, so you can kind of see how it came out. And again, this is the underbase, and this is only the first pass on the underbase. All right, so from here, what I'll do, swing that around. To where it can get flashed. And while this one is being flashed, I'll get started on the next shirt. And doing the exact same thing on the next shirt. All right, so I already sprayed adhesive. I got it pre-warmed. You don't want to leave leave it under the heater too long. I would say roughly in a flash. I would say depending on how hot your pallet gets, anywhere between 12 12 to 15 seconds. But I know my palette is kind of cold right now, so I can cheat. Okay. Got a little ink left on my screen. Pass. All right. Boom. Next. Good. Gotta spray a little more adhesive, a little more stick. I only have to spray more adhesive because the palette isn't clean. So again, we want to make sure that our pallets are clean after each job. All right, now we're back to my top. All right, do my little pad. Oh yeah, we're good. It's dry. Now that this one is dry, now I can come back with another layer, another white layer on top. Again, we want that under base to look good. Nice and thick. Well, not thick, but nice and smooth. If this was a light color shirt, you wouldn't need an underbase. If the design still called for white, we would use white, but we wouldn't use an underbase. An underbase is basically underneath every color. Notice how everything goes along together, okay? Now I'm done with my fourth shirt, swinging that one underneath the press, and now I'm ready to switch colors. Now I want to go to my yellow gold. My white is still drying, my underbase is drying. Good, okay? Stop you guys there. This is a prime example of what I meant earlier when I said making sure that that palette is actually or that dryer is covering your entire design. If you can see you can see well here. See how dark the yellow gold is here, and it gets white right around my S. That tells me that that dryer is not it's not even, and it's not drying the entire design. So what I need to do is I need to move it. I need to move it around. Okay. Okay. So I was able to make sure that that flash dryer was set in the right place, and I also went back and I made sure that the entire design was dried on my white press. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Back on that second color. It's one thing you don't want to try to do is get out of rhythm. Once you have it going, keep it going. is I swing this one this way, and I swing my Carolina Columbia blue. I'm ready. All right. So after I press my Columbia blue, what I do is take it from here, and I'll pull this shirt off right now. But my Columbia blue isn't dry. Everything else is dry, like my yellow, the white is dry. But I cannot let this blue touch the actual shirt because it's not dry. This is how we become more efficient. Instead of letting this shirt on this pallet go all the way back around to dry it again, no, we want to know that we can trust ourselves and be careful enough to take it from here and bring it on to the conveyor dry to where it's going to be cured and dry. All right. So again, the ink is still wet, but I trust myself. Boom. Put it there on the conveyor dryer. That's perfect. All right. So now, my previous shirt still only has yellow, my yellow gold, and my underbase. It's about to be dried, it's about to be flashed, and I'll get started with another one. What we want to do is make sure that all the little things are cleaned up in the practice runs. We shouldn't be worrying about pinholes or worrying about if a shirt is not lined up in the actual printing process. That should have been done in the practice. Okay, again, our oil is not lined up. I mean, it's not dry. Columbia, it's not dry. Stack. Now we're on to our mediums. Eyeball that, make sure we're about 4 inches away. Pick up the base. There, swing that around, back to my Columbia. Great. All looks well. See there? Great. Now, at times, you may have to, fix small things like making sure your shirt is right on the conveyor dryer or whatnot, or you may have to spray adhesive onto your pallet. But with all that being said, that's still taking up time. That flash dryer is still drying that shirt. And what you don't want to do is actually cure your flash. You just want to dry that thing well enough to where you can put another coat on it. And that's for every color. In the flash process, you only want to flash. So if you do have to, if you come into a situation to where you do have to move, or you're not moving as fast or efficient, just simply turn the whole press, your pallets, or your screens away from the flash dryer, to where you can actually still get your press in, but it's the shirt is not cooking underneath your flash dryer. All right. And what I use as my benchmark here for drying, I don't know if you guys can see it here, but there's actually a wheel right here where whatever arm that I'm using to press on, it actually locks into this wheel. So I know that, okay, I'm lined up here, all right? And my other one is lined up underneath the flash. Okay, all is looking well. Shirts are coming out exactly like I want. All right, and from here, now that I know everything will be going well, I would actually start to speed it up. And believe it or not, you can actually speed your process up in screen printing as well with your flash. If you don't have a flash drive where you can play with the temperatures, you can actually raise it up to kind of slow things down, or you can lower that heat closer to your shirt to speed that heat up. I don't recommend it though, because on some shirts you could burn them. That flash drive can burn your shirt, so you must be careful. All right, now we'll be back all the way at the top. All right, thank you guys for watching. I hope y'all learned something. And of course, as always, ask as many questions as possible. I've been doing this for some time now. So I have a lot of from the bottom experience. And I've did a lot of research. And I try to keep everything as simple as possible. So whatever I know, I'd love to share with you guys. All right, so again, feel free to ask questions. See you later.